You have been in charge of the bank loans. And while you are in charge of giving those bank loans, you find yourself in instances where you have to change figures, maybe where you are forced to give loans to those who may not deserve them. You work in a land's office, and as people are doing, searches for land titles, they give you money in order for you to falsify some documents so that they may have access to pieces of land that do not belong to them. You are a lawyer, you are a judge, you are in a court of law, and behold, before you is a case that you have to judge. You have listened to the people, to the plaintiff, you have listened to the defendant, you have listened to the witnesses. There has been cross-examination, and now it is the moment for you to pass the judgment. And probably outside the court, somebody came to you and said, please judge the case in my favor. Here is money for you if you do that. You've been presiding over an election. You are a returning officer, and you see that the vote is tilting towards a certain candidate, and now the other one who is about to lose comes to you and calls you and says, if you declare me the winner of this election, behold the number of cows you are getting. Here are the millions of money you will get. What are you going to do about it? You are giving tenders. You are the one in the procurement office. And now people have come, they have applied, and you are going to be awarding the tenders. And one of those applicants comes, from behind the office and comes with a big envelope, big parcel filled with dollars so that you can award him the tender. What are you going to do? You've been given food to distribute it in a refugee camp. And now you are moving with the trucks that are taking the food, and you have the access to all these trucks, and you can remove some food and take it to sell it or do something with it even before it reaches that refugee camp, and probably nobody will ever know. At that moment, which decision are you going to make? You are a human resource manager, the human resource personnel. You are seated in that office. You are making decisions that will determine the destiny of these people who are under your care. You are in that office. You are doing the performance appraisals. You are supposed to give this one some amount of, some rating out of 10, and that rating is going to determine whether they will keep their jobs or not. And so he comes to you and he says, if you give me 9 out of 10, you can be sure that after today, after this meeting, you have access to a big plot of land in a prime place in the city. What are you going to do about it? You are a diocesan chancellor of a diocese somewhere, and now there is going to be a piece of land to be sold. And you know that the people don't want you to sell it. They don't want that land to go. But now you are in a position of legal power. You can simply sign and this piece of land goes, whether the people that it belongs to agree with you or not. Maybe somebody is going to give you some sort of a kickback when you tilt it towards them. Which decision are you going to make? Maybe you are overspeeding and you are now going to engage with that traffic policeman near the traffic lights. And he says, if you just give me a bottle of water, quote unquote, bottle of water, I will let you drive away. What are you going to do? If you don't give him that bottle of water, he is going to give you that fine. You are going to pay money at the police headquarters. You are the one who allocates budgets. You are in the interview panel. And you know the person who is standing before you is somebody who is not qualified, but he is the son of your uncle. What are you going to do in that interview moment? How about you as a local council chairman, local council 1, LC1 chairman? That stamp that you have to put on those documents to help people take their cows to the open market, to help people go and ask for visas, and you know that they are not residents of your village, but here they are with a bundle of money. As a man in that office, what are you going to do? You are a senior management team member, and there are decisions going to be made that are going to push the the organization towards a great future, or they are going to kill the organization but benefit you as you end your term of office. What are you going to do? You are a church treasurer, and your child is going to be chased for school fees when you still have unbanked money in the vestry. What are you going to do about it? You are very welcome to the Inspired Family Leader Program with Samuel A. Bakutana, your host, CEO, Inspired Leaders International, certified executive coach, award-winning leadership consultant, a global speaker, and author, Provincial Fathers Union President. Today we are talking about making ethical decisions amidst corrupt environments. Making ethical decisions in corrupt environments. Haven't you faced these situations I have talked about? What did you do? Are you proud about the decisions you made? Do you see yourself making the same decisions or different kinds of decisions? In the studio with me is none other than my brother JT, Jasper Tumuhimbise, the General Chief Executive Officer for the Church Commissioners Holding for the Church of Uganda.
Yes.
A man who has been exposed to different corrupt environments, and he's going to be telling us whether he made ethical decisions or not.
Yes.
A gentleman who has been involved in fighting against corruption in different entities. At some point, he was heading the Anti-Corruption Coalition of Uganda. And he had to face with different ethical decisions in corrupt environments. As men, we always face these decisions every day, and it is incumbent upon you to make those decisions. Greet the viewers, Jasper.
Thank you so much, my dear friend, my inspirer, and greetings, viewers. Thank you for tuning this, because also this is an ethical decision. In other words, you can go for football, you can go for music, but
for pornography.
You choose. Yes, you choose to be here. I want to encourage you. This is an ethical decision, and I know you will not regret. I actually worked even as a secretary contracts committee for about 3 years, and every other day I was making a decision that would determine my moral fiber, or even determine my end. So I am usually to taking decisions that will now live beyond me, so that tomorrow somebody will say there is a man who stayed here and lived for Christ.
Legacy.
Yes.
Legacy. So how is your family?
The family is okay.
What's going on in your life?
Okay. Exciting.
Yes.
I celebrated 25 years of marriage on 30th August. And I went to Maxon Forest with the whole family. Guess what? Yes, I fell sick with my family. But somebody just sponsored us.
Yes.
He said that, "Aren't you Reverend Jasper?" I said, "Yes, you wedded my child."
Wow.
And she told me, "You are so good. So whatever you eat, or whatever you drives, whenever you sleep, it is on me. Just say my name. And let me tell you, it happened."
Interesting.
Ethics end up
Did you find him there or before you went?
Before I went, I was asking, how is Maxon, what and what. And then he said that, "By the way,
and you the man I know.
I have a stake in Maxon. You go there with your family. I will find you there." So that's what I knew.
Yes.
But he rang and he said, even on the gate, say my name and just eat, drink, and you can imagine what children felt. Wow. And that's ethics.
Can you tell him that I'm your friend, please?
Of course, yeah. In the future, you need to convince me to really connect him to you. But you see, that's ethics. That somebody entrusted me with a daughter some time back, and today he's repaying me out of nothing. I mean, I don't deserve it, but somehow, for children, husband and wife paid for Maxon for those 2 days. Even coming back, he gave me fuel. You can now imagine the goodness of ethics. And when we are talking about making ethical decisions, that's what we mean.
I am curious to know, what did you do to his daughter?
I wedded.
Oh,
Simply that.
okay.
And recently,
Were you even a part of the premarital counselors or not?
I just cancelled her.
Yes.
Generally.
Okay.
But when he called me for, giveaway,
Yes.
I was there.
Okay.
Then later I followed up through, counseling, encouraging her. That's it.
You walked
I
the journey.
don't really know
Yes.
whether what I did is equivalent to what he has done to me. But
Wow.
what we are saying is that when you make an ethical decision,
Yes.
something will follow you up.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's what people don't see.
Yes.
That, today's decision will determine tomorrow's reward.
Today's decisions will determine tomorrow's reward. Just like JT said, this is an ethical decision. Thank you for tuning into the Inspired Family Leader program with Samuel A. Bakutana. And today, indeed, I have the one I fondly call JT, Jasper Tumuhimbise, the General CEO of Church Commissioners Holdings Limited. And today we are talking about making ethical decisions in corrupt environments. So let's now delve into it. When we say ethical decisions, what are these? What do they look like?
Every activity deserves somebody to take a decision. So ethics is moral behavior that governs every human activity. Even getting up in the morning to go and work, it is an ethical decision. Again, growing ourselves on this TV, it means we have taken a decision. Sending our children to this school other than that one, it means we have taken a decision. Now, you can take a wrong decision, a right one, a good or a bad one, simply because of ethics.
Yes.
And so, every society that deserves to be called a society has those, rights and wrongs. And where they are not, then it is jungle, the lion will rule.
Yes.
And when it is
survival
hungry,
for the strongest.
when it is hungry, it will eat you. And sometimes actually the challenge with our nation is like that. That we now have lost the moral fiber. And we have leaders in government, in church, outside the church, who do not take decisions morally.
Okay.
I was reading about Singapore. For them, the 60 years now is about ethics and morality. To the extent that Uganda, which had more per capita than Singapore.
Yes, in around 1962.
Yes, now Singapore aids us.
Yeah.
You get it. We can't even compare in terms of per capita. Why? Because a certain man chose to have a path of integrity, of moral fiber, of ethics,
Yes.
and he changed his nation.
Yes.
So what we need is not even voting. What we need are leaders
Yes.
who will stand for the truth,
Yes.
and propagate the truth so that the future generation, our children, will begin being proud to be Ugandans. I was offended once in an aeroplane. Then when I mentioned Uganda, they were like, "Hey, they remember Uganda for three things." Idi Amin.
Yes.
I mean, these are now more than 40 years. Then they also think Uganda is very corrupt.
Okay.
And for me to be even beat,
That's the reputation of a country.
Yes, the reputation of a country. Then that Uganda abuses human rights.
Oh.
And the truth is, I get offended. You
Yes.
know why? Because like a Russia and a Raja, I feel I'm standing. But because of the moral fiber now that is now eroded, the nyege thing, what? That's what we now look for. And unfortunately, our children are entering that trap of, changing ethics, calling wrong right, and then right wrong,
Yes.
and then anything happens.
You incriminate the right,
Yes.
and you exonerate the wrong, the criminal.
And that's, for me, the unfortunate part. But then coming back to the church, we are also noting great examples of morality. And by the way, when a church is not the facilitator of morality, then you get worried. Because where else now? Where do you find morality if it is not in the church? All nations, I am saying all,
Yes.
and I read your article once on all universities.
Yes.
Which have a very strong foundation.
Of integrity,
we are
yes.
based on Christian ethics. Yale, Harvard.
Yes.
Based on Christian ethics. Yes, you can erode the roof, you can what, but the foundation is so strong. Even in Britain, the Queen, the then United States of America. All of those are strong for one reason, because there was a moral fiber, Christian ethics that built a foundation.
Definitely, it's history. We can't argue with it.
Yeah, exactly. So our thing is that let's build those ethics.
So we are now saying an ethical decision is moral behavior that governs human activity.
And every activity.
And every activity anyway.
Yes.
Moral behavior.
Yes.
So if we are to say unethical decisions, how would we turn around these words? We would say immoral behavior.
Immoral, wrong.
Yes.
Bad.
Yes.
You can even go for worse. But anything that does not, promote common good. Common good means my neighbor, has a house under me, but I'm allowing a flood to come and all my iron sheets to power water. You are immoral. There is nothing
instead of harvesting the water and you direct it
or
to a
even
tank.
helping your neighbor.
Yes.
So you are immoral. So that's what we mean. That
I thought they are only negligent. So negligence is
immorality and selfishness.
Indifference, not doing anything about what you could do.
That you see, somebody leaves their phone there and somebody takes it. And somebody who is taking it can say, I'm helping the phone because it's not supposed to be left there. So the one who is helping it is immoral. The one who left it is okay because phones can be left.
Definitely.
But the question is, why would you take what is not yours?
Yes.
So
maybe because I need it.
Yeah, because when you need it to work for it, that's also work ethics.
When you need it, work for it. Don't take something that belongs to someone else if it is not yours and it has not been given to you. That's a quotable quote. If you need it, work for it. And you remember the last time I hosted here, we were talking about the topic of real men work hard.
Exactly.
I still remember that. Real men work hard.
Yeah. That what I earn will help me propagate my wealth, and then that my lifestyle will be dependent on what I work for, but not that I'm taking and taking. And by the way, even before we delve into the context and what, let me tell you, look for people who were corrupt 30 years ago. You'll get shocked. Look for people, possibly whom you worked with 30 years ago, or even a thief, a village thief, about 20 years ago. Look for their families. Look for their families. Look for where they are. You'll get amazed. That ethical decisions will either propagate your legacy or totally finish you off. And let me tell you, Ugandans, tomorrow you will be known for what you are doing today. If it is totally, I know again it's Vengere more than
Bishop Festo
Vengere. I know Ben Hoofer more than Hitler. I know about Esther more than Zexus. Why? Because they took ethical decisions. And those people were powerful. Nebuchadnezzar.
Of course they were. Nebuchadnezzar.
Very powerful.
We now know Daniel, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego.
More than
Nebuchadnezzar, who was the king.
Alexander the Great conquered the whole world 33 years. But do you know him? We don't. We even don't. But what about Jesus, John the Baptist, David?
Martin Luther King.
Very many years ago, they are still known.
Mother Teresa.
Because they chose a path of morality. And so your children should be able to remember you, at least for mine. I want them to remember me for the moral fiber I had.
Even mine. I want them to remember me for the moral fiber
not money. Because all that will pass away, but integrity cannot pass away.
That's why I quite often travel, even with my children, so that they know what I'm doing. My daughter, come, let me do something different to not plan to do. Just come here, so that we demonstrate that what we are talking about.
And we started with
please come this side.
I pray that the vision remains. So this is my daughter, ladies and gentlemen. She is called. You introduce yourself. What's your name?
My name is Petra Humuza. I'm in grade 7. I study from Shama Christian Academy.
Okay. So this is my daughter, and in a number of occasions when there is that opportunity, I travel with her. Right now, she is seated in the studio looking at what we are doing and what we are talking about. And when we leave this studio and she has heard the things I'm talking about, she should be able to hold me accountable and see whether I am taking ethical decisions. God bless you. You are a great and wonderful person. You will change this world.
Amen.
I believe in you.
Amen.
So ethical decisions.
That your daughter is able to see you and say, I have a great daddy.
Yes. So now, if we are talk about this, in which I would like you to give me examples, in which contexts do we need to make ethical decisions? Just give examples of contexts.
Yes, of course, you know, as we grow, we are taking decisions.
Yes.
And therefore, the biggest decisions are in 3 ways. The first one is when I'm deciding to become an adult. You know, because there is a lot of peer pressure, there you will need to take decisions that are against your peers, even when it seems cool.
Okay.
Cool means the language
Great.
our children
Awesome.
use.
Classy.
Great, awesome,
Sophisticated.
cheating.
Awesome.
Yes. So that's the number one. That peer pressure.
Deciding to become an adult.
Yes.
So that in that context, you have to make ethical decisions as you
Yes.
become an adult.
Yes, because when you now make wrong decisions, you are ruined for good. But when you properly stand as an adult, as a young person, let me tell you, then you will be able to live in the future. The second one is vocation. Now this is interesting because in Uganda, many of us determine our vocations based on how much we get paid.
Yeah. They say,
In other words,
engineering, there is money. So let me study
Lawyer, there
engineering.
is money, so let me go
Not
to
that
study.
this is my passion, not that this is my calling.
Exactly.
No.
And you see your passion should even determine your ethic.
Yes.
But now you go
Yes.
because all lawyers are getting a lot of money.
My daughter wants to start a hotel and own a chain of hotels. Maybe she should be now thinking
I
of
hope
studying
that's the
hotel
passion.
management and
Yeah, so I hope that's the passion, so that studies hospitality and hotel management to propagate her passion.
Yes.
So vocation, listen to this. Vocation is based on passion rather than money.
Vocation is based on passion rather than money.
Oh,
If
if it is
vocation
ethical,
should be
based on passion. If it is
Not
ethical,
money, yes.
and not money.
So we can rephrase it and say ethical vocation should be based on passion, not
rather
money.
than wealth.
Yes.
Because wealth should follow passion.
Oh,
not
yes.
passion to follow wealth.
The way vision should come first, then provision follows it.
follows. So that's the challenge, that you have so many people who are grumbling in offices,
Yes.
who are grumbling wherever they go. Why? Because they are in a wrong vocation. They just want a job. So what you do, you sleep with somebody and they give you a job, but you will become a replica of lamentations throughout, even more than Jeremiah.
Instead of singing psalms.
Yes, instead of Psalms and the book of Acts,
the book of
you are
Acts.
busy lamenting. Why? Because you got it out of unethical decisions.
Yes.
And so whatever you do, you can't get satisfied.
Do you know people? He sits in his sitting room, and when he does like this and looks at the ceiling says, "You stole me." He looks down, the tiles say, "You removed me from the pile at the workplace."
Yes.
He looks at the windows, and the windows are saying, "You stole the money
Yes.
from the poor people." He looks on the walls, and the walls are saying, "The sand, you
Yes.
stole it from the building at the
And
workplace."
when he enters the vehicle, it
Yes.
is a total bribe.
Oh,
And when he knocks,
a
the
bribe.
bribe is saying, "No, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do."
yes.
And you see, that's what Jeremiah writes. I think it is the 9:17, that like a cartridge that lays eggs that is not there is like a person who obtains wealth using bribes. It totally disappears later. So we have now men and women who are struggling, even as family. They fight. You know why? Because one is stealing from here, another one is stealing from here, and behold, their children are totally lost.
Yes. So, context one, deciding to be an adult, you should make ethical decisions.
Yes.
Context two,
Is
when you are
vocation.
choosing a vocation, you
Yes,
should
yes.
ensure that you follow ethical
And during
guidance.
vocation, let me add something. During that vocation, in other words, during your work,
Yes.
because you chose ethics, then whatever you do remains ethical. Otherwise,
Okay.
you can also lose it
Okay.
along the way.
And then
But the other
number
one
three?
is marriage partners, choosing a partner. And we are dealing with a partner for life. And so our context is a covenant that I will stick with this person until death.
Somebody right now who is watching may be saying, "Sure, you hear what they are saying? Covenant, I'm sticking for life."
Yes, yes.
These guys live in the ancient days.
yes,
We
yes.
have now moved on contemporary life. It's not a covenant; it is a contract.
contract.
What do you say to that one?
Yeah, I would advise them to reread again even their vows, for better, for worse, richer, for poor, in poverty and in what?
They will tell you that was just fulfilling the function.
But when you are fulfilling a function and you are saying what you are saying, let me tell you, it becomes a covenant.
No, they say,
and therefore,
just a word, just
a contract is whatever you enter with a person to deliver a certain thing in a certain period of time.
Yes.
Come and paint my house.
I give
and
you money,
I give you this amount, and you paint it within this period of time.
Yes.
There is no total relationship.
There is no covenant.
Yes, there is no covenant. It is
simple,
you must
agreement
paint.
For delivery.
You must paint. So marriage is not must paint. No, it is beyond painting. It is actually living the house together.
Okay.
For life.
Yes.
And therefore it remains a covenant. You know when the Bible says the two shall become one flesh. So for you to attract that one flesh, let me tell you, take a decision. First, sleep over it. Why? Because the moment you now become one flesh, if it was an ethical or immoral decision, it becomes pain throughout.
Tell the viewer an example of some decision that is unethical in a choice of a marriage partner. Just an example.
Just like actually even where you meet. I know there are so many meetings on Facebook now.
And is that wrong?
Yeah, but how?
Because why are we on Facebook if not to meet people? And some of them
Facebook,
can be converted into
we have what they call
partners.
friends.
Yes.
Friends, and I have more than 5,000. Actually, maximum
is 5,000. Yes.
So those can't be my marriage partners.
Why not? One of them can graduate to them.
Yeah, but then it takes another type of process. Why? Yes. Because I would want to know that when you are about to marry, actually now let me advise that when you are about to marry, there is a criteria you follow. 1, 2, 3. And within those criteria, there is a minimum.
You are making it sound like pi r squared. There is a formula.
For it is like gravity.
Yes.
I mean, when you go on top of a building, it doesn't matter how spiritual you are.
Yes.
If you jump, you'll go down. So if you want to marry,
jump to the clouds.
Yes, if you want to marry, there are certain criteria which you must set.
Principles.
I
think we should come back one of these Saturdays
marriage,
and help the younger men and women.
So that at a minimum you say, I want somebody like 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Then this is compromisable. But for us, we are going for the minors. Compromisable, and we are making them majors.
All right.
And so when you live together, war, and you produce now children who are bitter.
Here is a simple question, but not that simple. Why should a man make ethical decisions? We have talked about what ethical decisions are.
Yes.
We have looked at the context, but why the sweat? Why the struggle?
Yes.
Why not flow with life? Why not go with the flow?
Yeah.
Why even leave some money on the table if they have put it for you?
Yes.
Why leave that skirt that has passed by and is giving itself like an offertory to you? Why trouble? Why should a man make ethical decisions?
2 or 3 things. Number 1 is legacy. Every ethical decision again will determine whether your name will be known or not.
Yes.
So we know David again more than Goliath. Goliath was powerful. And really powerful. I mean, threatening the whole nation 40 days, nobody could stand.
That was powerful.
But we know David more. I even don't know any grandchild of, even a child of Goliath. And he was killed.
We don't even know his parents. No. Not even his brother.
But David, I can tell you generations.
Yes.
That's number legacy. 1, that legacy. That you see, I must determine my legacy.
So when the decisions we make determine the kind of legacy we live. And legacy means
something that will outlive you.
And what we will be remembered for.
That when I was working as a clergy, oh, thank God, Reverend Jasper touched me, even when I'm gone.
Yes.
And they can be able even to help my children simply because they have mentioned the name Jasper. But you mention, for example, Amini, with all due respect, you can't say you are
because his son is watching right now.
You can't, and he's my friend.
He watches
one of them
this program.
Is my friend. And you see, you can't say I'm a grandchild of Amini. Why? Because of the trauma that comes with the name. Notwithstanding the good things he did.
Yes.
In other words, legacy means that the good things are more.
Okay.
Outlive more.
So that's one reason why a man should make ethical
yes,
decisions, so that he strengthens a positive legacy.
Yes. So the second one, which is very, very important, is that time will tell you that everybody who was ethical, lived a great life.
What is great? When you say great, what do you mean?
Oh, I mean that the life was fulfilling, not in spite of, assets around us. Great life. I will give an example. If you read in Genesis chapter 5, and from verse 20 to 25. From verse 1, Adam produced Seth produced Enoch, lived and died. But when you reach a certain man called Enoch,
yes,
the Bible says
he
Enoch
walked with the Lord,
with God.
Until he was no more.
Changed live, die, produce.
Yes.
When you reach him, he changes.
The text changes.
And by
no
the
longer
way,
said he lived and then produced a child and died.
For him,
for him,
he walked with God, and
Lord.
God took him away.
Yes, he never died.
He never died.
It actually says he walked with the Lord until he was no more. Nobody knows where he went.
He was consumed. But he lives 365 years. Others were living 900 years.
Yes.
Meaning,
wow,
it is not how old you become,
but
whether you have fulfilled your vision and the ethical one.
It's not about the years in your life. It's about the kind of life in your years.
Yes. In other words, Jesus, 33 years, in 3 years had fulfilled his vision.
Yet some people
mention Jesus, the whole world shakes.
Yes.
With 12 disciples, one was a thief.
Yes.
I mean, we are under that
legacy also.
Yes, John the Baptist, 30 years killed, but mention John.
Simon Peter.
So was it about the children? No. Was it riches? No. It was about those ethical decisions they now did.
Now, so there is a general belief that no one is making ethical decisions in this country. What's your view about that?
I don't agree with that. Why? Because that's what they call an Elijah syndrome. That I'm the only one.
Elijah syndrome.
Yes, Elijah syndrome.
Prophet
That's
Elijah.
1 Kings chapter 19.
Yes.
We were running to God. Who they have killed all prophets. I'm the only one remaining. No, he was 7,000 times wrong.
Oh, because there were 7,000 other people.
And you see, that's the danger. That we shall say everybody is corrupt, everybody is immoral. No, some is not.
Yes, Jasper is not. Petra is not.
And therefore, I will promote some. I will promote Jasper.
Yes.
I will promote those who are standing for our children to begin seeing us, rather than hearing the usual garbage that enters their ears. So, I don't agree that nobody can say people can't stand. I stood in Uganda Railways.
What were you doing?
I was the traffic officer for 5 years. I mean, allowing wagons to come from Tororo and coming to Kampala. And this is painful, and let me say it. If you see people we worked with today, these are about, 30 years.
Yes.
28, 30 years. If you see them today, and you see me, you will know the difference between ethical decisions and non-ethical decisions. One of them,
that they are better than you, or
let me illustrate it. One of them told me that, young man, make money. I have 5 houses in Kampala.
That's what he told you.
One of them I can't even step there.
Okay.
So don't be stupid.
This position is an opportunity for you to
This is an opportunity to build houses, what and what. What was I fighting for? For me that time I was fighting to get school fees only for my brothers and sisters.
Where is he? Where is that man today?
If you meet him now, it is the pain that I'm talking about. That is despicable. Where the houses, I don't know what happened.
Yes.
But he's actually in the village growing potatoes. And I say this painfully. And it is not one, it is not two.
Yes.
People I worked with in IGG, the corrupt ones.
In the inspectorate of
government. Yes, the corrupt ones, you meet them, They are like, hey, you, what did you eat?
What were you doing in the inspector?
I was the principal investigation officer among the top investigators.
Yes.
I was the secretary contracts committee.
Okay.
I was also head of the follow-up unit to ensure that whatever we do, it is implemented.
Okay.
And I can assure you, there are those ones who were corrupt.
Yes.
They got a lot of money, but today you meet them on the street and you are saying,
yes,
God.
You were also at the Anti-Corruption Coalition
Yes,
of Uganda.
the head of Anti-Corruption
What was your role there?
I was coordinating all anti-corruption efforts, advocacy. I was coordinating, the training in anti-corruption, research in anti-corruption.
Okay.
And that's where I left to enter to become
the ministry.
Yes.
Interesting. I think whatever triggered you to get into the ministry, we'll talk about it another time.
Yes,
but
that's it. That you see, we can't say there are no people who are standing.
They are
very many, and our children will stand.
Yes.
Our children will stand.
Yes.
Until when the whole world will begin saying, yes, they are
possible.
So the Raja syndrome, and this is also Moses syndrome, that you see, I can't carry all these ones. God, please kill me. Why? Because he thought that he's the only one who's standing. But he had a Joshua. At least he knew there was a Joshua somewhere. So what are we saying? That, the media has promoted bad ones. And it is as if it is nice to be bad because you have money, you'll be feared.
Yes.
I want to promote a certain Samuel who will quietly make his money.
Every money he eats is out of his
others.
hands and efforts.
Yes, and inspire others.
Yes.
And let me tell you, in the future, then we shall know him. But those who are corrupt today, who take decisions, grab land, they will still be buried under the land. So what will happen to the top?
Even those who don't steal it will be buried under the ground. So what's the
I remember one young man came with the wife and telling me, my wife was in hospital, and he came and said, tell this woman to put my name on the land title. So when my wife came out, I said, let's go and pray for her out of theater. And I prayed this prayer, which is not very ethical. That, Lord, I pray that my wife will also be able to be healed so that I begin fighting for titles and vehicles.
Yes.
What I was telling them is that life
is more
important than the things we want to obtain falsely. For example, my name on a title, so what? Okay. Having 10 houses in Kampala and I stay in one, so what? And what about having everything and you lose your own soul? I mean, that's what Jesus asks.
I know. Now, you see, somebody will say, yes, all this that you are sharing, that's okay, that's all right. And one can actually make those ethical decisions, especially when things are going right. But how about when you are in a very corrupt environment where being not corrupt is seen as sacrilegious, is seen as obscene, is seen as totally abnormal?
In fact,
can a man stand and make an ethical decision in a very corrupt environment?
Yes. In fact, that's when you are necessary. If everybody is ethical and you leave your phone and found it, then what would be ethics? Ethics are defined because of the corrupt environment. And therefore, your capacity to thrive in a corrupt environment defines your ethics. That I'm able to work as a secretary contracts committee and I'm on TV and I want to ask anybody who bribed me to call me so that I multiply by 100 what they paid
we
me.
Should open the lines right now that you call when you are still here
so that I'm able to stand and even preach. Sometimes even preach the former corrupt, people I what. But I'm so sure that this person is saying that the message coming out of Jasper is the right one. Why? Because I tried him and I failed.
And I believe that this message may be resonating well with many people's hearts. Inwardly, they say, that man is
yes, and right. I pray
that man is right. But it comes with a high risk. So how can a man deal with the high risk that comes with standing?
So number one, you can only stand when others are seated and be noticed to be standing. In other words, you can't use a corrupt environment to think that now let me be corrupt. You can't use, for example, that there are so many mariahs, so let me be a mariah.
A prostitute.
Meaning that you are the same. Therefore, the the environment has soiled you. So we shall know you because you have stood.
Yes.
But after you have stood, yes, it is risky.
Very risky.
But it's more risky not to stand. And I wrote about it
risky?
once.
Because the other risk of standing
I wrote
is that
about,
you can even be shot.
Yes,
You know, in
yes,
this
but
country.
if you are not shot,
Yes.
you are shooting your grandchildren. I mean, I wrote that
Cowards die
2006.
many times but live
Yes,
longer.
I wrote that in 2006 that is risky to fight corruption,
Yes.
but it's more risky not to fight it. Why? Because these accidents you are having on roads, especially this depression is, you know how many people are dying?
Because somebody consumed a whole one layer of the road.
He has a pot belly which consumed the pothole. You get it?
Yeah.
And that's it. You have hospitals all over. Who is going there? My mother, my sister. So it is
in
risky.
a hospital that has no drugs.
It has no
not
drugs.
Because there is
so
no money to buy
risky.
drugs.
It is risky to fight for drugs, but it's more risky not to fight for them.
Yes.
Because ultimately you will die. I mean, I have a parliamentarian, they had an accident along Tirinyi Road and went to the hospital. And then there was even no Panadol.
I heard about that story.
And he died.
I heard about
Yes,
that.
and that's sad. In other words, had he began, spearheading the issue of health education before he had an accident, possibly would still be living.
The right time for you to erect a lightning conductor on top of your house is before the lightning comes, not when the lightning has already struck.
And it is more risky not to have that what? I mean,
just because it is costly.
Because it's costly, I can't have salt and charcoal down there. No, I will put it there. That's the integrity of my house.
So practically, how can a man deal with the high risk that comes with him standing for the cause? How does he deal with it practically?
The way I really dealt with it now, is that whoever wanted to bribe me, I would say no. And by the way, 70 million in those days, one was the biggest bribe I was to be paid outside the country. Was 1.3 billion. And those days, 2003, 1.3, my friend.
1.3, I think that today it's like 4.5 billion.
I would get it and it kills me. And I hate anything that kills me. But what I'm saying is that, that's what you now need to do. That I am not taking your money, I'm doing my job. So even if I died doing that proper job, I know where I'm going.
Could this other thing maybe also help, like appealing to the systems, to the policies, the manual, so that it is not seen as a personal decision. Yes, but you refer them to the documents in place.
You breached
the system, the institutional guidelines.
You breached this, so judge yourself.
But I'm not able to do this because the policy says.
I'm also doing my job. And let me tell you, especially people they have killed, it is because they took a bribe and never helped. Yes. Yes. In other words, you are chasing me because I'm corrupt. But I have now facilitated you not to chase me, and you keep chasing me. I mean, I met one man whom I arrested, had bribed me with 1 million on the 8th of October 2003.
What did you do?
What I know is 8th of October, the next day is 9th of October, Independence.
Yes.
And I had 4,000 in my pocket. He brings 1 million.
Yes.
Those days, the 10,000s were reddish brown.
Yeah, I remember that.
I looked at that money.
And remember the
4,000 for my wife and children.
And here you have 1 million.
And I was like, I think I need to get this.
Yes.
But no. I was like, no, don't get this money. We arrested that man. He spent independence in what? In a prison. I don't know how I survived.
Yes. In a minute, before we take some little break, when you look at these things we've talked about, these are powerful things.
Yes.
We've talked about why a man should make these decisions. So we know why we should make ethical decisions. But what do you think stops men, and women anyway, from making these tough decisions and bold choices? In just a minute.
The nature of a person, that I want to survive, that I want to thrive without effort. And that sinful nature actually came in chapter 3, that my nature is, if I can get free things.
Chapter 3 of which book?
Of the Genesis. That's Moses. That you see, if I can get this freely and sleep freely, get these houses, I have security. Security for my children, grandchildren. Oh. So what is the definition of security? that you see God can require your soul that night.
Security,
like the rich or the food.
security is when your future is protected.
Yes.
Security is when you can walk alongside that road and you have no necessity, you have no need to look over your shoulders to see if somebody is about to kick you for the things you did. Security is being fulfilled and having a sense of satisfaction because the decisions you've been making are correct and ethical. Decisions that will make you have a good legacy as you live your life, even when you finally leave. When we come back, we will ask ourselves, what if I am so pressurized by my bosses, those who are above me and supervising me? How do I make ethical decisions? And how does all this apply to family leadership? Today we are talking about making ethical decisions in a corrupt environment. Can you make ethical decisions when you are totally surrounded by environments that push you to be highly unethical? Will you stand or will you bow down? That's the big question. And when we were taking a break, the question was about security. What is security really? Is it about having very many guns? Is it about having, very many quote unquote security personnel around you? Is it about having your car being armored and bulletproof? Or actually security is where you can sleep in that house, whether it is 1 bedroom or 2 bedrooms or 7 bedrooms or 20 bedrooms, and you can have sleep for a whole night, because you do not have disturbing thoughts that would be coming from the bad decisions that you would have made that day. Oh, security is when you walk along that journey from your home going to the trading center, from wherever you reside, and you don't need to look over your shoulder to see whether somebody is about to slap you for a decision you made that destroyed their life. What is security? Now, I know that most of us have wanted to stand for ethical decisions. But because maybe by virtue of where you stand or where you sit or where you lie on that organogram or that organizational chart, you have people above you who simply come and say, excuse me, sign here. But you know that signature shouldn't be appended to that document, especially based on the content of the document. But because this is your boss, this is your supervisor, this is the executive director of that bank, this is the managing director of that international business conglomerate, this is the chairman of the board of governors, you feel that you should bow down and just sign even when your conscience is telling you no. JT, if I am pressurized by order from above, how do I stand for an ethical decision? Practically speaking, no theory here, JT. Practically speaking,
order from above means from God. So, number one, my orders I must get them from God.
Somebody saying you're not practical.
My God is.
Somebody saying there is an executive director.
My God is above the above. But
this above that is below your God is going to fire me.
When I would be pressurized,
my children need school fees.
I would explain myself why I have taken this decision. I would note the time when I discuss, for example, with my boss.
Yes.
And then I would also note the results.
Okay.
That they either agreed with me or not. And in all that, become the following. Yes. I can be a Peter, where I am saying I will serve God more than money. I can become a Daniel. I used to use what they call I Daniel. I will still pray even when they are saying I will be thrown in the lion.
In fact, Daniel chapter 1 verse 8 says Daniel decided that he will not defile himself.
In other words, he became ethical.
Purposed in his heart.
Purposed in his heart. And after 10 days, things were different.
Yes.
But I can also Joseph. A Joseph thing means I run away to say, okay, now that I can't manage.
There is a place for leaving the job?
Yes, I have resigned 3 times because of that. That I cannot violate my moral fiber on the altar of corruption. Full stop. It doesn't matter you're a boss, you are what. And let me tell you, let me tell you, God has still looked after me.
Yes.
That even on the streets,
Yes.
I meet somebody to say, by the way, and you, Jasper, I have a job for you. So I have obtained more jobs because of integrity than
Yes.
education. Can I repeat?
Because you have obtained more opportunities because of ethical
Ethics,
decisions more than your
my education
capabilities. And
so my CV is more to do with integrity than education. Why? Because I deliver, and I know even today I was talking to some lady in the morning who said that, oh, don't apply to that what place because they will ask you for a kickback. I told her I don't pay it.
Yes.
I will never pay it.
Yes.
Let them not take me. I will still go and sleep and
we
sleep.
have 3 minutes to the end of this program.
Yes.
How does all this that we have talked about apply to family leadership?
In a way, every decision we make, even coming to TV, is affecting our children. Painfully, I know too many who died in prison, and I know about their families. They died in prison because of corruption charges. Look at their families. They're in disarray. I imagine a child listening that Jasper is corrupt on TV. What are we doing? What about a wife who comes to check on you in Ruzira? What about a husband who is checking on you in prison?
How about your mother who is hearing the news on a local radio station that you stole and you were
the vehicle I
chased?
drove home was from stolen property? Let me tell you, lack of ethics, or the ethics will determine family values and therefore the future of this nation.
So, in summary, in only 1 minute,
Yes.
outline what does a man need to make ethical decisions going forward, just in a form of an outline.
In the form of an outline,
One,
please
he
pray.
needs prayer.
Please pray about any decision you are about to take. Number two, have somebody to give you advice and accountability partner. Ensure that you have somebody whom you can run to. Number three, ensure that you read about people who stood for the truth, where their names are now.
Yes.
And those who are outside the truth, where they are. And then finally, no one thing that with ethics you'll do exploits. Without ethics, you'll be like a rich or the fool. Now, rich or at the same time a fool.
Yes.
That's in Luke, I think, chapter 12.
Yes.
Where you think you have everything, but you totally have nothing.
Yes.
Where you think, yeah, I am prosperous, but you are the most poor person on earth.
Today
That's
I made
the
a statement where I was speaking to about 30 couples, and I said, if all that you have is money, you are the poorest person.
Can you imagine?
If all that you have is just money, you are the poorest.
In other words, you are prosperous, but you don't prosper.
Ladies and gentlemen who have been watching this program, these things we have talked about are extremely critical. Ethical decisions secure our future. I always hear politicians say, we are going to secure your future. Let me tell you, if you do not make ethical decisions, your future won't be safe regardless of what the government will do. Ethical decisions secure your future. And as we have talked about these last bits of the conversation, JT has talked about praying about the decisions you make so that you have divine guidance for your journeys. Number two, get accountability partners. People that you work with, people you can open up to when things are tough, when you are about to make a terrible decision and you open up to them and they are able to speak some sense into you and help you to navigate the tough waters of unethical decisions in your life as a man. And number three, read about the positive stories of those who stood in tough times. Martin Luther King says that a real man is not known in moments of comfort and convenience, but in moments of controversy. That's when a real man is known. Read about the stories of those who stood for the truth and triumphed. And finally, with ethics, keep remembering that you will do great exploits. Stay positive. Do the best that you can. It will happen. So now you are in charge of the bank loans, do the right thing. You are working in the land's office, do the right thing. You are about to judge that case in court, give real justice. You are presiding over an election. Announce exactly the one who won. You are giving tenders, give it to the best bidder. You are distributing food in a refugee camp, don't take away some sacks for yourself. You are making decisions as a human resource manager, please don't put people's destiny in jeopardy. You are a diocesan chancellor, make sure that the church land is not lost under your supervision. You are engaging a traffic policeman because you were overspeeding. Yes, you made a mistake. Pay for the ticket. Don't bribe the policeman. You are interviewing, on that panel. Don't give the job to the person because he's a son of your grandfather's nephew's sister-in-laws or whatever neighbor. No, give it to the best. Merit. Make sure you follow merit. You are a member of the senior management team and a decision is about to be made. Ensure it keeps the organization safe. You are making performance appraisals. As a boss, as a supervisor, make sure you don't put somebody's destiny in jeopardy just because when you asked her to sleep with you, she refused. Give her the marks that she deserves. You are a police officer on duty. If somebody's car has nothing wrong with it, don't just start to keep them there so that they can bribe you and they run away for their own life. Let's make ethical decisions even when we are in very compromising and corrupt environments. It is possible, and I trust that you who is watching me, you will do it. You will manage. This has been the Inspired Family Leader Program with Samuel Bakutana. Thank you, JT, for coming today. May God bless you. May God bless Uganda. May God bless Africa. May God bless this world. Until next time, good night.
Bless.